I feel so hopeful because I know that this vaccine has provided me with another layer of protection. Trust the science. Be a part of the solution. Do whatever you can to put an end to this pandemic.
Hi, and welcome to Tapped into
Hi.
Hudson. I'm Steve Lenox, and I'm the publisher of Tap into Hoboken, Tap into Bayonne, and Tap into Jersey City. We are going to get right to our first guest here because we know she's excited to join us. That is 33rd Legislative District Assemblywoman Annette Chaparro. Assemblywoman, how are you today?
I'm great. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course, we're so happy to have you today. We've been trying for a few weeks to make this happen. I wish you were here in the studio with us, of course, but we're going to continue to do these remotely to be safe and, stay COVID healthy. So, Assemblywoman, on Friday, you announced your re-election campaign. You got to be excited about that. The announcement was a beautiful, big event. Very well received, right?
It was, it actually surprised me. I walked in I was expecting something else, and true to Senator Stack, he had it all laid out the way it should be. It was exciting. It was really exciting. I'm always excited to be part of that team. It's amazing, and I'm humbled and honored to be part of it.
I think the way you just characterized it was our reporter Al Sullivan did. Senator Stack, he doesn't do anything small, does he? Everything is big and very well done and very well produced. And, when Senator Stack is in the room, he's got a reputation that precedes him, doesn't he?
He's like me. We're people person. So this pandemic has really shocked, of course, the not only the world, but New Jersey as a whole. And he loves interacting with people, being around the crowd, the rally, everything. So this is a challenge for us.
Absolutely. You can't do that sort of one-on-one retail politicking. Assemblywoman, when you announced on Friday, when you spoke about 2015 when you ran the first time, and you said you weren't sure if it was the road you wanted to go down. You must be thrilled now. You've done it. Now you're going for your fourth re-election.
Oh my God. If you would have told me before 2015 that I would get involved in politics, I would have told you you're crazy. I hate politics. I'm not doing this stuff. I honestly, it's a blessing. I'm more of a person that really wants to help people. I love people and I want to help people. That's always been, no matter what kind of job I've had, I've always wanted to interact with the public and help the public. And I think as a young girl, I grew up in the housing authority, and I was, there's 6 of us, and I was the middle child. My mother took me everywhere with her to either translate for her or just to be that person contact to get the information for her. So I was always that person wanting to help. And I just didn't connect it to being in a public official to help. I just thought that was not the road I was going to take, but I was grateful that I was given that opportunity and humbled that someone like Senator Stack, who's a tremendous leader, would give me the opportunity to serve their district and really believe in me to be right there side by side with him and my running mate, Roger Mukherjee.
Yeah, Assemblyman Mukherjee, of course, is another workhorse, somebody we've known for a long time. Assemblyman, when we first had this conversation about you coming on the show, it came as a result of a press release that we got to tap into about what I think was a relatively simple piece of legislation. But we talk about legislation being so complicated, budgets, taxes, everything else. But this was very simple. You go into the light rail, you forget to validate your ticket, you're not going to get fined anymore. Where does inspiration for legislation like that come from?
Well, there's quite a few pieces of legislation that come actually from the public. This particular one was a pet peeve of mine, just from experience. And also, I worked for the municipality, so there was always someone coming in complaining about having to go to court because they forgot to validate their ticket. They were summoned, and it never made any sense to me that you had to do this 2-step process or that it was further away. And I just, I dropped this legislation in hope that it would just kind of, really fix itself. And true to, I would say this, that once this piece of legislation moved through committee and it was voted on the floor, New Jersey Transit had reached out to me before that just to make sure that we can talk about this. And we are talking about a solution. The whole point is that if you purchase a ticket, you should be able to just validate it really quick without going across or anywhere else. And that was just, I thought it was so simple that why hasn't it been done? I don't know, sometimes you think something is as simple as 1, 2, 3. You just want to make sure that New Jersey Transit is able to complete that, make sure that it's a whole. Bottom line is I want simplicity for the public, and that we all can work together, have the best solutions, so no one has to pay for tickets. Nobody wants to pay for tickets. We barely can make it paying for just the tickets to get on the train, never mind an actual summons. So I'm happy to work with New Jersey Transit on that.
Again, yeah, it sounds like such common sense, but you hit the nail on the head there. New Jersey Transit must have had a reason for putting that process in place. You come along and you're changing the process. But what's most important is the two organizations, the legislature and New Jersey Transit, are talking with each other. So, Assemblywoman, we got about 20 seconds and we're going to take a break. But I want you to real quick tell me if there's another piece of legislation you're most proud of.
Well, there's one that I'm working on, and I'll be very proud once it's passed, and that is EV rates for electric vehicles. That came from a resident that we have to have affordable residential rates for the residents of Hoboken and actually the state of New Jersey. We're talking about EV vehicles, electric vehicles so much. We need to make sure that the rates are right, that they are affordable. So that's one piece of legislation I really want to get through.
Perfect. These are growing in popularity, of course. As someone, we're going to take a quick break. Right, when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about Women's History Month and who's inspired you in the legislature and in your career. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you.
Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, Jersey City. Hudson County's only monument maker, serving all faiths and cemeteries. Design, studio, and launch inventory on site. Cemetery inscriptions and custom orders welcome. Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, just south of Secaucus Road. Craftsmanship that will last for all eternity. Burns Brothers, Jersey City, Albert H. Hopper, North Arlington. Visit us on the net. Consumer Carpets, 3408 Kennedy Boulevard in the Jersey City Heights, your one-stop store for residential and commercial floor treatments, carpeting, linoleum, tiles, laminates, hardwood floors, area rugs, remnants, all major brands, all in stock. Free estimates, same-day installation. Consumer Carpets, it's savings, selection, installation. Credit cards and debit cards accepted. Financing available. Consumer Carpets, price to fit your budget, installation to fit your schedule. On the net at consumercarpets.com. Consumer Carpets, Jersey City, 201-792-2712.
Hi, and welcome back to Tapped into Hudson. We're being joined by Assemblywoman Annette Chaparro, 33rd Legislative District. We spent some time in the first segment talking about some legislation that she's particularly proud of, a new law that'll make it a bit easier, a bit more simplistic to travel on the Hudson-Bergen light rail, some new legislation regarding electric vehicle rates. But Assemblywoman, I want to talk to you a little bit. It is, of course, March. It's Women's History Month. We know from the reports that we've seen and articles we've read that being in government, being in politics is a tough business for anybody, especially for a woman. And these are some things we're trying to change. Of course, we had Hudson County Democratic Chairwoman Amy DeGison several weeks ago, and we talked about this. And her solution was, we just have to be better. But I want to talk to you also. How can we solve some of these issues that we're dealing with in government, misogyny and sexism and, some of this, what we want to get rid of?
Wow. So I'll tell you this, that Women's History Month, we all talk about women. Who do we support? Who inspired us? All these things. And I have to tell you, growing up, I mean, like I told you, I grew up in the housing authority. I grew up poor. There was so many challenges in my life. I don't think there was a particular person that I was channeled into. I mean, of course, I admire Rita Moreno because she was Puerto Rican. She was on the tube. She was just, everything was just wonderful about her. So of course that was part of it. And when I think something that no one knows about me, in the early 90s, I worked for Queen Latifah's company, Flavor Unit in Jersey City. And really the person that inspired me the most, believe it or not, was not Queen Latifah, although I respect her tremendously and she was a great boss, was her mom, Rita Owens. So it's another Rita that really inspired me. She really opened my eyes to many things as a woman, what we accept, what we allowed. There was a big challenge in my life during that time. And she was someone that guided me, that opened my eyes to many things that I will forever be grateful for. And the only regret that I have is that I didn't reach out to her before she passed away to let her know that the Annette she knew is a state legislator. Being a woman in politics is, we're strong women. And I don't know why we doubt ourselves. We are moms, we are sisters, we're nurtured by, just by nature, this is what we want to do. We want to help people. We listen. And I think that sometimes, especially in politics, in areas like this, it's so driven by men that we always second guess ourselves. And sometimes we think that we need to have a saying when it's our turn. And I think all these things are coming together. Women are realizing that we have a lot to do and a lot to give. And we're beautiful people. We're beautiful human beings, and we can pretty much do it all and give birth. Okay, you guys try to do that. But I have to tell you, I am surrounded by amazing women. I am honored to be among them. And together we can do a lot. And I know it's challenging, but little by little, we have to keep breaking through and making our voices heard. And we start with our young people. I have amazing young women that always come to me, the Girl Scouts in Hoboken. We have a group of Hoboken mommies that just come together and help each other out. Women are phenomenal people, and we're just going to continue to embrace that and make sure that our next generation is make it easier for them to get into politics and to change the world one day at a time. Listen, my district, I want to help everyone and work together, city by city, block by block. That's the only way to do it. We have to come together, but making sure that women are in the front, because we do a lot behind the scenes and sometimes we don't get credit for it, but we want to make sure we bring them all up front and center. There are so many women that we need to thank that made our jobs a lot easier. And I am grateful to be a voice, and I just want to make sure that I do a good job, especially for the young women.
That's great as some women. And sometimes, it's a matter of stepping up and taking the credit for things, which isn't in some women's nature and a lot of women's nature. When you first got to Trenton, though, and you saw women like Lieutenant Governor Guadagno, and now we've got Lieutenant Governor Sheila Oliver and Senator Weinberg and Senator Linda Greenstein, and that list goes on and on and on of these very powerful, accomplished women. It must have made you feel good, like you stepped into a place that you belonged and kind of, hey, I do belong, I can make a difference.
I'm going to be very honest with you. It made me a little emotional, right? Because I've been in this bubble of, growing up. It was poverty. It was struggle. It was always a challenge. And I realized that I'm a voice, and where I came from, I had my whole role is, and this is why I respect Senator Stack so much, because he is for the people, about the people, and he doesn't like to see anybody struggle. And that's my thing too. And when I went there and I saw these amazing women that came from so many different parts of New Jersey, and once you start talking to them, our stories are very similar. And you never think that because you're always, you're thinking about you're dealing with your surroundings. And once I got to Trenton, I was really overwhelmed, but in a good way. And I met my colleagues. I mean, I have a list of friends that will be lifetime friends. They're amazing women. And we look after each other. We really do try to talk to each other. And I think it's just wonderful. It really is wonderful. I will forever be grateful for this opportunity. And then I hope that I do it justice. And I'm going to give it all I have. And I'm not perfect, but I will work 1,000% into it.
As some women, every week we have guests on it. Every week we say 12 minutes isn't enough. Again, 12 minutes certainly was not enough, but it's up. We appreciate you so much coming on the show this week. We look forward to continue to watch your work in the legislature, reporting on it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and we hope to see you again soon.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. I appreciate it.
It was perfect. Thank you.
Newport, the luxury waterfront community on the Hudson River, offers the quality of life you deserve in 10 high-rise rental towers with amenities such as the on-site Newport Path subway, light rail and ferry service, Newport Town Square, 3 playgrounds, dog run, upscale restaurants, retail giants like Sears, JCPenney, Macy's, and Target. Morton Williams Supermarket is just outside your front door. A health and fitness club, spa, skating rink, and medical facilities are also on site. NewportNJ.com. Enjoy the New York skyline from Newport Town Square. Manhattan is just one path stop away or quick ride through the Holland Tunnel. Nursery and private elementary schools all on site. 12-screen movie theater at the Newport Center Mall. Want to visit Newport? Stay at the Westin or Marriott Hotel. Go to NewportNJ.com for details. Newport has luxurious towers, great restaurants, shopping, New York skyline views, schools, playgrounds, a marina and yacht club, gym, spa, fine wine, fine living. It's incredible. It's you. NewportNJ.com. Newport, live like you want.
Hi, and welcome back to Tapped into Hudson. I'm Steve Lenox. I'm the publisher of Tap into Hoboken, Tap into Jersey City, and Tap into Bayonne. Our next guest for this third segment is Deloris Gibson. Deloris, thank you so much for joining us. How are you this afternoon?
I'm doing okay, yourself.
Good, Deloris. Deloris, of course, I got to know you a little bit. Good. I got to know you a little bit over the weekend when the Hudson County Prosecutor's Office sent a press release about a tragic event that you dealt with in 2015 when you lost your son Darcel to gun violence. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. It's still very fresh in my memory. Working at the Boys and Girls Club, I've been there for decades, close to the second. But gun violence is something that we do every year, just like other things that we do. And that Monday, we were wearing orange. The second, I do remember that because that's the color that we do wear. 2 days later, I'm calling my director in the morning, my executive director, Mr. Greenberg, in the morning stating that my child was shot. I never thought that would happen. You can never say it would never happen to your family. You're there for everybody else's families. I've known families that went through this. And now here it is, 2 days later, I was going through it myself. I still don't understand why my son was shot. I think for a robbery, I just don't believe. But it's still very fresh. I see his children, his girls, every day. So I do see a little bit of him, should I say a lot of him, in them. And it's something that is taking my family to really, develop. When I say develop, because it's an attitude that we have to develop now, that he's not here. There's so many things that can happen that we see. Or say if I just hear a certain song that's big, that's Darcel. He was all about music. Music, oh my God, music was everything to him. He can be walking down the street, he has earbuds in his ear, and his room, earbuds in his ear. But his passion was to go to school to become a chef. That's why he left to go to Rhode Island. And when he left there, because he felt that he couldn't do it here, he said, Mom, I got to get a better life for my kids. I can't just be a nobody. I got to be somebody for my kids, which he calls Team Rivers, all four of them. He has two girls. There's Zal and Zaria. He has two boys, Zaire and Zakai. He made sure all four of them were named with Z's. They're called Team Rivers again. And he said when he owned this restaurant, it was going to be for his team. And he did make it. He graduated. Not even a month later, he comes home less than that to visit. And this is what happens. He always gave me and his stepfather, Tyrone Gibson, phone numbers to where he would be at when he left out of town. He never thought that this would happen to him in his own city. Seeing that he used to walk around so freely. He wasn't affiliated with gangs. He didn't hang out with big cliques at all. His circle was very small.
And Deloris, you know, it's been 6 years now, Deloris, and we've seen pictures of your son, and we're going to show some pictures at Darcel and with you and with his children. Why are we talking about this now 6 years later? It's still an active investigation. What is your plea to the public, to anybody who might be watching this?
Well, that I would love more than anything for his children, myself, his brother. We need closure. We want to know why. First of all, that's someone who a big clown who said he had to start doing right. Stop just being so easy and laid back. And when he finally started, for it to happen, this happened. But more than anything, he loved people and he loved children. So, and inside, I don't know why. Because he would give you the shirt off his back. All his friends that know him or I assumed that of friends, he would do anything for him if needed. I mean, a lot of people, I was so shocked, knew my son of all ages, even older. But more than anything, we need a peace of mind and we need closure. His kids ask me constantly, did they get the bad men yet? And I told him these days it don't have to be just men. But we need closure. And the person that did this, you got a conscience, you got a family, and I know you do. Think about it. Think about Darcel. Anybody that knows Darcel know. A lot of people called him the truth, which was so shocking to me because my son wasn't a liar. And to hear so many people call him the truth, I was amazed. That was something that I had learned. So if you knew him, and a lot of them didn't know that that was my child, I would love so bad for somebody to come forward.
Deloris, thank you so much for sharing this story. We're going to take a break for a couple seconds here, for a couple of minutes. We're going to take a sip of water. We're going to regroup, and then we're going to come back and we want to talk about what can we do as a community, as individuals, as families. We're all family, to make sure that there's no more Delorises going through this pain, no more Delcels, dead way too soon, 4 children without a father. So we're going to take a break and we'll be right back.
Pinto Properties, Jersey City. Shaping the workplace with state-of-the-art office spaces that address your company desires. Building residences that define your home environment, adjacent to all modes of transportation with on-site parking available. The right address, the right lease. Call 201-521-9000 or visit online at panapintoproperties.com. Panapinto Properties, building Jersey City for everyone.
Hi, and welcome back to our final segment of this week's Tapped into Hudson. We're having a very emotional conversation right now with Deloris Gibson. Deloris, we're so glad that you've joined us, and we're proud, we're honored that you're sharing the story of Darcel, your son, who unfortunately we lost back in 2015. Deloris, earlier today, I was at a press conference in Patterson talking about gun violence. 6 young men were shot on Sunday. Of course, in Jersey City, a 17-year-old lost their life on Sunday. I mean, it's just a cycle that happens over and over and over again, Deloris. What can we do to prevent this? We have to do more.
It really does. Being a director of this club, Boys and Girls Club, which I'm very honored. I've been working here for years. And here I try to have the kids feel, and I want them to know that we're family. Once we can get this in our kids' heads, to think before they react. And that's the problem that's going on a lot in the streets right now. They're not thinking, they're just reacting. You get hurt, you get angry, that's the reaction. Retaliate, that's the reaction. But they're not thinking about none of the consequences that is there. Like, you're leaving someone without their family. You're leaving a family to grieve. But in actuality, how I say to my kids here, look at it. Would you want someone to do that to your family? I mean, just because it can be done, you always got to think that's going to come back. It can happen. So I feel if the positivity of trying to teach our kids, so maybe the cycle can be broken. Sit down and talk. And if the 2 people can't talk, sometimes there needs to be a mediator. because we do that here. We also have like our little court system that we do here, because we want the kids to be able to use their words. The words are so powerful. I mean, your words can express everything. That's what I tell them here every single day. And with me and the staff that I have here, I mean, great staff. Staff in all our buildings. Our main club is in Jersey City. This is something that we try to instill in our kids all the time, every single day. Use your words. When violence is not helping anything, it's not helping at all. So we can get this to our kids, and we just constantly, and it's not going to happen overnight. So it's something that you have to keep doing, just like our parents did with us. You keep doing. Sooner or later, you're going to see changes. I see changes in my kids here that were some tougher than others when they started here. And now, I mean, they're so helpful. They ask what can they do, their manners change. So as a whole, it's not just the schools, it's everywhere. It's everywhere that these kids need to be taught, need to know. And if everybody just keeps doing that, it's going to work. I feel it's going to work.
So it's not going to be fast, Deloris. I think you're hitting that so well. It's such a poignant point you're making. We hear so often, we hear it from community police officers, we hear it from community leaders like you, that when these young men and young women, as is used before, once they pick up the gun, they've gone down a road that's very hard to turn back around from. But can we talk a little about that? You know, these young guys and these young girls, sometimes they go to prison, you know, they spend some time away, and then they come back to more hopelessness. Now there's groups like the New Jersey Reentry Corporation. Do you work with any of them to help some of these young students, you know what's ahead of them, that there is something more positive?
Well, we do have our teams here that we have worked with. We also have gang prevention in both of our buildings. Unfortunately, we did have teens that get into trouble, and we do our best to make sure they have mentors, someone that they could talk to, because it is rough. It is rough because people are always looking at you, and I try to instill in my staff. It's not what they did, because a person is not going to change if you keep seeing what they did. And that's what caused them to sink back into themselves and start doing that behavior all over again. But if they see people that's willing to give them a chance, people that's saying, all right, you did that before, now let's see how you do it now. Give them a second chance, honestly, from the heart. And you'll see a difference. Years ago, I worked at Integrity House, and I was the supervisor of the overnight weekends there for women with the same type of problems. And they just need somebody to hope in them, believe in them, and have faith in them. Because as long as they have that, sometimes everyone don't have family to go back to. That's rough. You don't have a family to go back to. That's where we become that family.
Deloris, that's such a beautiful way of wrapping up this show. That's such a beautiful way to wrap up the show, Deloris. I wish we had more time to talk about it. Of course, I never knew Darcel, but I join you in mourning Darcel. I know he was a wonderful young man. You know, he was a proud father of 4. We're glad to have gotten to know him this way. We wish the circumstances were different, but we're going to show his pictures again, and we hope that you can get the justice that Darcel deserves and the closure that you need. Deloris, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.